on Vancouver Island. It is 5:02 Pacific Standard Time. And I thought I would do a little plant with me. If you're wondering why I'm doing this, it's because the sun is literally in my eyes and I didn't want to wear sunglasses on a live video because I feel like that's not being very authentic. So I have a bit of a plant problem. If nobody's figured that out yet, I do. I went shopping. Did I need more plants? Well, that is a question that kind of has an ambiguous answer. Some people may say no, some people may fully object to my plant shopping, and other people will just endorse it. So I went shopping and I bought a few things, and yes, I have plants already, but sometimes I just can't help it. We have a bull's heart tomato. So all the plants I'm showing you that I purchased for my fruit slash vegetable garden, I haven't grown these ones from seed. These are all different varieties than I already have, either in seeds or milk jugs. So we have a tomato, and I will be planting all of these with you today. Another tomato, this one is called Mimi Busey, it looks like. It's a large tomato. I definitely didn't plant, well, the few that I planted that are large, they're in milk jugs and they're like this big. I kind of had a slow start to some of my milk jug tomatoes that I was really looking forward to. So some of them I'm gonna let them grow, but other ones are just too small. They're not gonna develop at this stage. So I needed to supplement my potential future tomato harvest in a couple of months. Right here, that's a big one. What else do we have? We have a tomato called Celebrity. I hope this tomato performs just as well as the name. It is disease resistant. That is a good quality to have in a plant. We have another tomato, Golden King of Siberia. This one already has a little flower on it, so that is promising. So my vegetable garden tomatoes also have flowers, but I could use some more. So we're adding to the collection today. Next, we have another tomato. This is called Super Fantastic. It looks kind of like small to medium-sized tomatoes on this one. And we have something super unique. This tomato, I've actually never seen one like this, and when I saw it, I couldn't resist. I really like unusual plants. This is called a silver fir tomato. It is determinate 58 days, early producer of 3 to 4 inch tasty red fruits. And they literally look like firs. It's called silvery fir, and the foliage looks like a fir tree or a fern. It's really, really cool, and that's what attracted me to this plant, just how different it is. There's a close-up of what the fruits should look like. Will yield large tangy fruit all season long. So that is interesting. Let's do something that isn't a tomato. I bought a couple of things that are not tomatoes, believe it or not. I bought a pumpkin Big Macs. I didn't grow pumpkin Big Macs from seed this year. If you've been around my channel since last season, or it was last season when I attempted to grow the world's biggest pumpkin, and that was a big failure from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. The plants grew well, but what happened to my pumpkin Big Macs, supervisor didn't eat it, but it rotted. I had 2, I want to say, on my vines, and they both rotted. So I am putting this in a completely different location outside of the vegetable garden, where I have a pumpkin patch already started, which I haven't really shown much of. I think I might have shown it once, or very vaguely in one video, but I haven't really talked about my pumpkin patch. So there's a reason for that, and that's where this is going. And next, we have a plant that I have never been successful with, but we're giving it another try. This is a honeydew melon. Well, I have been successful with watermelons, certainly not every season. In 10 years, I've been successful, I think, twice where I could harvest the watermelon. Not great odds, but cantaloupe, I've been successful once, and honeydew, I have never been successful. We're giving it another try. I thought the plants were so lush and healthy, I couldn't help it when I saw them, so we're gonna give honeydew melons one more try. And I actually got 2 of these because I figure most plants do better if they have a duo or a trio or a quartet, but not a single. Larry, hello, welcome. I haven't started planting, but I'm just showing you guys my plant haul before we get in the garden, and I feel like something just bit me. I don't know what it is, but I felt it, and it is gone now. It wasn't a wasp, it might have been like a mosquito or some other small critter. And one more plant, we have a giant Belgian tomato. I have never grown anything like this variety before. It is a beefsteak variety with good yields, 2 to 5 pounds, dark pink fruit. Tomatoes are meaty and very sweet. So that sounds super promising. New sub, keep up the work. Thank you. So let's get started on planting. I'm going to show you some of what I already have, and then we're adding to it, and I'll show you why I'm changing things up a little bit for my growing season. We have some failures to talk about as well, but I wanted to get the haul done before we started planting. You have a new garden. Oh, that is super exciting. What area of the world are you from? I'm going to move you. Let's see. Might have to adjust the tripod a little bit here. Where can we put it? Maybe down a little further. I'm going to be planting some of these plants in pots and some of them in the ground. I hope I've not missed loads, but no, I just started with a plant haul. I have a plant problem. Let's just leave it at that. I have a lot of plants, but I also have some failures happening in the garden, so I wanted to supplement my plants that I already have. Some of the failures can be removed, some of them will give them a little more of a chance, and just beef up the garden for this season. So that's what we're doing. Them chives are looking awesome since the last time. Oh, you can see them. Oh no, you're talking about your chives. My chives are here too. The purple is the chives in the background, and they're doing well too. It's a good time of the year for chives. You've been planting yellow tomatoes. Oh, that is interesting. So I have this pot here, and let me see if I can hold it up a little better. I recently dug into my compost bin and harvested a bunch of dirt from the bottom. So you can see on the top there are eggshells. It's not going to hurt the plant, it's only going to help. And I do believe I have either kale or arugula. I'll give you a better look. That sprouted itself in this dirt only within like 2 to 3 days of putting it into the soil. I always forget where the buttons are on here. So here's the pot. I'm going to put my first tomato in here. And you can see these greens. I believe this is either kale or arugula sprouts that have already sprouted within like 3 days of harvesting this soil. I didn't plant it, but that was from the compost bin. Your dragon fruit has sprouted today. Hip hip hooray! That is such an exciting news development. It's always exciting when something new sprouts in the garden or in your house. If you have houseplants and you do stuff with that, it's always exciting. So first, this soil is so dry. It is crazy how dry it is. So I'm going to put a little moisture into it. I have either the hose or a watering can. I will be back in about 45 seconds to 2 minutes. Okay, we've got the hose. We need to add a little bit of moisture here because this is way too dry for anything to survive, although the kale has sprouted, so maybe I should take that back, but too dry for a tomato to survive well. That's probably enough water for now. And I'm actually not adding any fertilizer to this pot. I often do add organic fertilizers. You're being so bad at being mean. Keep up the good work. Oh, okay. I don't know if I know how to be mean, to be honest. I think I never learned that trait in my life, I shouldn't say unfortunately, for better or for worse. I don't think I ever learned it. Some people have it pretty naturally, but it just doesn't come to me very well. So I think I'm going to start with this silvery fir tomato that I talked a little bit about before. It is super unique, and we're going to get it into this pot here. Let's see what I can do to show you a little better. Maybe I'll prop it up and bring the camera over. Dropping in for a little while just to see what I can learn. Oh, we are planting plants, vegetables, and a few fruits. Starting with a silvery fir tomato. I've never heard of this kind before. Produces some interesting looking fruits, and I was attracted to the foliage. Seems pretty cool. Let's see if I can move you a little bit different angle. So I harvested soil from my garden. There are eggshells in here. No, it's from my compost bin, which is right over here. Can you see that? I guess you can. From the bottom, this comes off. This is kind of what it looks like now, but there was some nice soil in there. So that's where I got my soil from, in case you're wondering. Jumping in. So let's get this planted. I have kale sprouts that, maybe I can do this, turn the camera around. There we go. Zoom out a little bit. We've got the soil nice and moist. And no fertilizer for these guys. I said that already, but if anyone didn't hear it, there is no fertilizer. I often do add like rock phosphate or seaweed extract or kelp meal, but today I'm just doing my organic homemade soil. That's all I'm using for this. So this one is a little root bound, but not bad really. I'm still gonna break up the roots a little bit. Some people say you shouldn't, but there are so many different schools of thought on planting tomatoes out there. I usually break up the roots on almost everything I plant, so that's just the way that I do it. And I'm going to break off this root. I feel like it could do better without it, so we'll toss it and put the tag in, and that one is planted just like that. Here is a tomato I planted recently. I'm trying to remember. Oh yes, now I remember. So beside it is Candyland, which is super exciting. I think it's going to be super sweet, these little cherry tomatoes. And this one, what was it called? It was like a bonus tomato that I had two of them in the same container. Oh, this is just a patio tomato, and it had a second plant, which I wasn't expecting. So hello, Jessie. Gelatinous tomato, yes. Do I have any cool multi-graft fruit trees? Absolutely, I have a whole collection of those. You want to take an intermission and see that? It wasn't what the stream was about, but I can show you real quick one or two of them. I have Dirty Hands, and this is one of my 5 variety combination apple trees from Costco. It is 9 years old. Lots of apples on here. We will get back to planting tomatoes and other vegetables for anyone who came specifically for that. Lots and lots of fruits on here. Pretty much when you have a multi-variety tree, they all start out green, but there definitely is different colors here and 5 varieties, and I really need to thin these. I have so many apples, it's bonkers. And I'll show you I have another tree. So I have 2 5 variety apple trees, both from Costco. One is 10 years old, one is 9 years old. And I really need to thin them both. This is the other one right here. This tree is basically short and stout. What is the base tree? I don't know. When you buy a 5 variety from Costco, at least in Canada, it doesn't usually tell you what the base tree is. I'm assuming it's some variety of apple, but I don't know specifically what variety. But these trees have been outstanding. Last year, I no joke, had about 500 apples I harvested between the 2 trees. And honestly, I think I'm gonna get 700 to 1,000 this year. Like, it's bonkers. Let me show you this tree. I've already started thinning, but there are just my shadows here. Apples, apples, and apples. Like, apples galore. Like, this is just absolutely blowing my mind. The apple trees are crazy. Like, so many apples here. So I do have some work to do. I started thinning already, but clearly I need to do a little more thinning because it's not good for the tree, and I really couldn't cope with that many apples anyways. I give lots of apples away, I eat apples galore, and I also have pretty much a mini backyard orchard. Check this out. I just noticed this little critter. I think he's a foe, but I'm not going to kill him. I'm not 100% certain, but I don't like to kill creatures, so we'll leave him for now. Yeah, I also have a peach tree, coconut ice peach if you're new to my channel. Super delicious peaches. Last year was its like 4th or 5th season, and it produced 150 of the most delicious peaches. They taste like a tropical drink, so good. And I have fig trees, multiple fig trees, a cherry tree 5 variety, a plum tree 5 variety, and a few other figs. I think that's it. A lot of fig trees, actually. That's the main fruit. Peaches are delicious. A little tricky in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in Vancouver Island, zone 7 to 9, depending on who you ask. But they can be tricky with fungal infections. I just finished treating my tree. There's a tiny bit left, but it's like 99% gone now. So let's get back to the vegetables. I will show you why I'm transitioning some of these pots. This here is a little tiny tomato seedling that I started actually in milk jugs. But the problem I'm having this year is that the milk jugs have been so slow to grow. And I have another one here. This one's doing a bit better. This one's better too. But overall, they're just growing so slow. I'm gonna give these a bit more of a chance, but we have some other things that have failed that we're gonna be removing and putting in mostly tomatoes to supplement the garden and to remedy the failures that have happened. So let's go there to some of these pots. Coming over this way, we have definitely a failure here. I can't remember. I think this was a basil that didn't work out. This was in my hydroponics growing kit in my house. I harvested a ton of basil over winter, and then I took them outside, and unfortunately a lot of them passed away. Not totally unexpected, but I think it's time to say goodbye to this little plant. I can say, whoops, where am I going to put you? I'll put you here. We'll say a little prayer for the plant before it goes in the compost bin. A moment of silence. Okay, I'm good. We're gonna compost the plant now. Let's see, where did it go? There it is. We'll put it in the bin. Do you have any issues with wood bugs eating your plants? I have issues with some plants getting eaten, but I actually don't know what is eating them. So I'm not sure about wood bugs versus other critters. I actually think I might have a bird problem with them eating my squashes this season, but I'm not 100% certain on who is eating them. Somebody has been uprooting them and destroying some of my squash plants, quite a few actually. I think it might be crows, but I can't say for certain. So this is the planter we're going to remedy. It actually has some beets in here that I'm going to leave. They're looking okay. And I know that eventually they will overcrowd the tomato, but for now I'm going to leave them. I can always, well, I could take them out later, but I'm going to leave them for now anyways. Just going to dig a hole in here, put in a little bit of moisture. And let's get another tomato plant. We are going to pick the giant, no, maybe not that one for here. Let's do Celebrity. That seems like a good tomato for this spot. Where did I put it? Right here. These are grow bags, in case anyone's wondering what the containers are. I bought them on Amazon. I guess it was 3 to 4 years ago. This was actually, I'm trying to remember if it was before I started YouTube or the first year I started YouTube. Anyways, I love grow bags. They're so useful and so much better than containers. They breathe better and they're lighter and they're easier to store in the wintertime. What light do you use indoors? CFL, LED, HPS, my, etc. FH, not my. I have a grow light, and I honestly can't tell you the specifications. I bought it on Amazon several years ago, actually. Actually, I have 2 grow lights, and they have a stand, like an independent stand. And then there's like 5 or 6 of those like lights that project off of it. But I really don't know a lot about the specifications. I don't memorize that stuff. I'm not good with technology or even anything like that. So I couldn't tell you. They're okay. I might be able to get a better one, but for now they're okay. So I'm going to put this tomato into Lime from Texas. Hit him with a scream. Hit him with a scream. Who are we hitting with a scream? Okay, I don't know. The tomatoes, are we screaming at them? Are they going to grow better if I scream at them? Hit them with a scream. I don't scream. That seems kind of, I mean, I know some people scream, but I don't scream. I don't really want to scream. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to think of something I can give them some words of wisdom for their growing in a loud voice. I don't know if I can scream. Crystal's Pets and Plants. Hello, welcome Crystal. I am planting tomatoes and a few other fruits and vegetables in my vegetable garden. And let's do this. Dig right into this container here, put it in. So what should I say to this tomato? Little tomato, please grow, give me an abundant harvest this season. I have many people who would love to enjoy your produce. I know my dad isn't growing a garden this year. He decided to give up on his gardening, which is kind of sad actually. He's gardened since I can remember, like his entire life, and last season he lives in a different, he doesn't live with me. He has a different house. And he had such trouble with his watering, and we had such dry, hot summer that he just gave up after like, how many years? Like 35 years maybe gardening. He just gave up completely. He planted grass over his vegetable garden, which is so sad. But he loves tomatoes. So I'm trying to make up my garden with vegetables that I can share. I always share anyways. I'm not the biggest tomato eater, but if I'm going to be sharing with people that I know aren't gardening anymore, then I'm going to plant more vegetables that I know that they will really enjoy too. So that's part of the reason I'm stocking up on my tomatoes and some of my other vegetables, because some people in my life that don't, there are people in my life that don't garden anymore, which is really, really sad. I hope he changes his mind. He has space for a garden. He has lots of space, and he had a really abundant garden for years, but not anymore. So now this one I'm on the fence about. This was a basil plant, or is a basil plant, and I was thinking of pulling it, but I think I might not. I have a hard time with some plants when I can see they're starting to rebound. Like, I think this is fresh growth. This was started in hydroponics. I took it outside. I knew it wouldn't do well outside, but maybe I'll just clean it up instead of actually pulling it out. I do have other space. And oh, look at this. I think I must have done this a while ago and forgot about it. That's a little tomato seedling. It's actually looking pretty healthy. Interesting that it's growing right beside the basil compared to my other ones. I suspect that's why it's doing so well. I have a little fig propagation. If you've been around since I have been doing hydroponic gardening last winter, you remember I did my fig experiment. Only one survived fig propagation, and this is it right here, fig tree propagation. That is the survivor. But for now, I'm going to leave the basil plant. We do have other containers I can put my tomatoes in. That basil would be a good candidate for some Super Thrive. Oh, were you the one that was telling me about that in one of my last live streams? I can't remember. I should look for that on Amazon. I haven't seen that locally. I mean, I don't frequent the fertilizer section every time I go shopping, but I do usually browse it every now and then. I haven't noticed it. Are you a Canadian? Are you American? I think we might have talked about this before, but I can't remember, because I do wonder if you guys in the States have different stuff available than we do in Canada, because I have noticed that a little bit on Amazon. Amazon.ca is absolutely different than Amazon.com in terms of products that are available for Canadians versus Americans versus the UK. They're all different. I mean, there is some overlap for sure, but they're definitely not all the same. You buy mine online, English. Oh, are you from Britain? I'm not sure. Whoa. Okay, I just pressed some strange buttons on here, and I'm getting some strange things popping up on my live stream. It wants me to adjust my thumbnail, like change the filter on it. I've never seen that pop up before, and I don't even know why, and I don't want to change it. So how do we get rid of it? Okay. All right. Now this is a sad plant too. We might pull this one, I'm thinking. This was also a basil, but I don't think it has much of a chance left, to be honest. But did I put a tomato in there? No, I don't know what that is. I don't think it's a tomato. I think we will pull this one. Oh yes, this is remnants of hydroponics right here. I didn't even take the bottom part off, but I don't think this one is going to rebound, so we're going to get rid of it. And we're going to put a little tomato in here. The soil is moderately moist in this one. Must have done something wrong in a previous life. We got no sun. Oh. Do you mean this season, or you don't get sun very often in your area? Or maybe you just are in a bit more of a shady spot in your microclimate. So let's get another tomato to plant. Have one over here. What should we pick? I think this is going to be the super fantastic tomato for this pot. And we'll just dig in here. England is just very wet. Oh, okay. I didn't know it was that wet. What's interesting, Sunfrog, your dad should plant seeds from a higher zone. Like if he's a 7, go up to 8. Yeah, he probably should, but he's just given up altogether. I don't know if he will go back to gardening. Like maybe he will. Maybe he'll get so bored this summer that he won't know what to do with himself and he'll go back to gardening. But I think he's taking the season off. I really don't know what he's going to do, but I mean, they do have an ornamental garden too, my parents. They don't just have a vegetable garden, and they didn't pull out the ornamental garden, but the vegetables are gone, unfortunately. So here we have Super Fantastic planted, and now it needs a little water. Bud grew. Our summer is 25 degrees for 3 to 4 weeks if we are lucky. Oh, that isn't very warm, I have to say. Food Forest Permaculture. Hi Lisa, I found the home of the fairy diva and vid up tomorrow. Oh, you! Wow! I'm looking forward to that. So exciting. Anyone's new here, welcome to Food Forest Permaculture. I call him Howie, that is his name. And he is in Victoria on Vancouver Island. And last year he did the most epic fairy garden. Well, he did a couple fairy garden videos, one in the food forest, and one he has a secret lady friend, and she's an artist, I believe, and she does some super crazy fairy gardens, like out of this world. Anyone who's new here, I am a fairy garden fanatic, which has been fueled by the one and only Grandma Sandy on YouTube. She makes fairy gardens every Thursday, like 365 degrees a year, every week she makes a fairy garden. And she found my channel early on and has been my fairy garden, what's the word? Encourager, I guess you could say. So I make fairy gardens too, but not every week. I make them maybe a couple times a month on average. Yes, the secret fairy garden lady. Oh, that is so exciting. And one of the last videos, I think maybe both of your videos, I can't remember. One of Howie's Food Forest Permaculture, his fairy garden videos, was so funny. I literally almost peed myself laughing. Like, I could not believe it. I think it was the one in the food forest that you made, Howie. Her garden was epic, but I think your story or your garden was much funnier than hers. But they were both really good videos. Hi, Crystal. Yes. So let's give this tomato some water. Yes, you create some very, very humorous pieces of content, Howie. Good for the body to have one of those laughs when you're almost going to pee yourself. It doesn't happen often, but literally, I still believe that laughter is the best medicine for so many things. It really just makes you healthier when you have a really good laugh. What time is it where you are? Good question. It is 17:05, which is 5:35 Pacific Standard Time. That is the time of day we're dealing with. And what do we have here? A little tomato. We have sunflowers. If CR was here, he would be interested in my sunflowers. And oh boy, a little bell pepper plant is making a comeback from hydroponics. I was going to transplant the sunflowers, but I forgot about the bell pepper plant. I might actually leave it in here because it's trying to rebound. I will move the sunflowers eventually. So we are going to venture to another area of the garden and plant some of these other plants that I have here. I have some honeydew. I think we're going to do that next. Honeydew melons. We're going right into the vegetable garden. You can see a little bit of that. And I should probably bring some kind of a shovel with me. I have an idea of where we're headed, but it's a bit of a jungle, so we gotta go through some plants to get there. Oh, you're on Central Time Zone. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is the vegetable garden. And actually, before we get to planting these, I have something to show you. Now, this is wild. This is incredible. In my opinion, I've been growing potatoes on and off for 10 years. And this is the first year I have never seen potatoes grow like this. Now, I'm gonna have to put the phone down. I brought my tripod, but I didn't bring it into the garden. You live in America. Yes, I kind of figured that you did. So, maybe I will get my tripod. What I wanted to show you is how crazy these potatoes are before we plant the honeydew. These are absolutely insane. Maybe I will grab the tripod to give you a better perspective on height. Now we gotta put it back up. I have never, ever seen potatoes grow like this before. They are so tall. Put the tripod back together here. Flip it around. And okay, there we go. I wanted to give you a little size comparison. Now, I'm gonna just get up and close to my potatoes. These are insane. So I'm 5'4", and the tallest of the tall potatoes go approximately up to my hips. I'm gonna estimate the tallest ones are at least 3 feet tall, maybe taller. Like, this is absolutely bananas. I have never ever seen potatoes grow like this. And I do have bees. Oh my goodness, this comes up in almost all of my live streams outside. I recently did a bee video, my last live stream, just showing the bees, because in the evening there aren't as many bees out, but we might go there in a little while. I'm trying to stay a little more focused. I have problems focusing my attention sometimes, but yes, there are definitely bees here. But these potatoes, I don't know how or why they are so big. I didn't use any special fertilizers, but compare this to, I have more potatoes, like these guys right here, and I'm going to show you another potato patch that is nothing like this. Right in front of the camera, actually, lower down. You used to keep these until they got vandalized. That's so sad. Now, these potatoes right by my feet were planted a month or two before these. Like, this is bananas. So wild. These are minuscule compared to these. Like, what is the difference here? I do not know. And I haven't started harvesting over here, but I'm wondering if I should, because what I want to show you is some of my in-ground tomatoes. I have a tomato that is being overrun by these potatoes. And the potatoes themselves only are just starting to bloom. Just now, there's a few of these forming. Most of them have no flowers yet, and this is a huge patch. So I have 2 tomatoes here that are completely being overrun by potatoes. There's one here. These are in-ground ones that I actually started growing these in the winter in my house, not hydroponically, but in soil. And they are doing fantastic. This one is not overrun by potatoes. It's being, let's just say, friendly with the cabbage. But I have 2 more tomatoes here that are completely overrun with potatoes. So there's potato leaves starting to encroach here, and one of them you can't even see because it is so overrun with potatoes. Like, I have a cage here. You see potatoes. There is a tomato in here. We get a little closer. He's like, right, oh my gosh. Did the live stream just start over? What the heck? You gotta love bees. They do amazing, important jobs. Absolutely, but I'm not sure that potatoes specifically need bees. So my question about growing potatoes, I mean, I've grown them many years, but I don't know a lot of the biological science behind growing them. The Wi-Fi is cutting out. Oh shoot, I'm gonna see if I can fix that. Just hold on one sec. My internet connection, I'm gonna try Wi-Fi, done. Okay, I don't know. I am on my connection, not on the Wi-Fi, so not sure why it's cutting out. Hopefully it doesn't do that again. I'm not sure if I should start harvesting these. Is it worth it to do a early harvest on these potatoes, or are they going to be too small still? That is my question. If anyone has any insight. I've never harvested this early, like in June, early June. I usually wait till like July, August, September. But they are clearly encroaching on my tomatoes, and I just wonder if I should start pulling them out so the tomatoes have a better chance. Anyways, that is my pondering. We do have more planting to do, and I was going to get to the planting location, but we have to go through the jungle to get there. So this is my kale jungle, and we are planting beside it, kind of venturing into the garden. I might actually have to mow some of it down, unfortunately, because I want to plant right beside that pipe. That is where I had planned to put these honeydew, but it is kind of a jungle in here. There's also raspberries, a big patch of raspberries, and mint growing in the mix. And then the potato situation. So lots of stuff happening. But this little spot here, I wanted to put the 2 honeydews. I would pull one and see. I've never tried. Yeah, I guess I could do that. Chamomile, I just noticed. I hadn't seen it pop up yet, so that's cool. But I think I might have to sacrifice the kale plant. This is a poppy plant that has sprouted. I didn't plant that. Do I have enough space for 2 honeydew plants? I think I can do it. It's going to be crowded though. Dear friend, how am I doing? I am doing awesome, Grandma Sandy. Thank you for joining in on my planting session. I don't specifically have a fair garden for today. I might show fair garden stuff later. I'm not sure. I have fairy stuff, but I didn't make a video for it. Yeah, I think here. So let's get the honeydew melons. Let's get the honeydew melons and get those planted. Where did I put them? That's pumpkin Big Macs over there. I put them over here somewhere. Yeah, no problem, Grandma Sandy. So these are my honeydews. We're planting beside the pipe. And I'll tell you about the pipe when we get in there and what the pipe is for and why I put it in my garden and where I got it from, actually. I know not everybody has pipes in their garden. So we're headed right over there. This is corn by my feet, sunflowers, onions, and a kale forest. So here we are. Where should we put them? Maybe over here. Doesn't matter if it ends up there. Just pull a few little weeds first. Do I grow any cactus? Yes, I do actually. Cactus here don't survive in winter. Well, maybe some do, but not my cactuses. So I take them in the winter, but they are in my little patio in the summertime. If I have a little bit of time at the end of the live stream, I can go over there and show you. I'm trying to focus on the vegetables. I know often when I live stream, a lot of people have questions about other areas of my garden, and I love that. But I find that I often get really distracted and off topic, and I'm trying to just stay a little bit more on topic, but I do like to cover other stuff too. So I've got to go, but when you are live next, love seeing your garden. Well, thank you for stopping by, bud. Yes, I don't know. I actually don't plan my videos or my live streams. I do probably the opposite of what YouTubers are supposed to do. I know they say, oh, you should plan your videos and you should script your videos and all that kind of stuff. I don't script. I've scripted like 3 out of like 600 videos or something like that. I don't plan my videos. I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I know I'm going to make a video and sometimes I don't. It's literally spur of the moment. Like that is pretty much how I live my whole life, is like spur of the moment decisions. So I do have a video filmed, a long form. I haven't done many long videos in a while, but I had a viewer request actually. Do I grow milkweed? I tried, Crystal. I really tried. One season I got a bunch of seeds of milkweed. I wanted more butterflies and they didn't even sprout for me, unfortunately. So I think you might grow milkweed if I remember right. So yeah, I do the opposite of what YouTubers are supposed to do when I make videos. But I did film this morning. I went on a little forest bathing excursion adventure. I specifically had a viewer request for that very recently, like yesterday. And I love forest bathing, but honestly, I wasn't really in the mood this morning, but I decided to go anyways. so happy I did. I felt so good afterwards. Like, I can't even tell you how good it was. Like, I'll give you a little spoiler alert. It was another waterfall finding adventure. This is a different waterfall that I haven't been to on the channel, and I've only been there once before today. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. I had such a refreshing experience, and that video will be up, I'm going to say, in a few days probably. I don't know how much editing I'm going to get to. I started with an hour and 5 minutes of video that I'm kind of trying to shrink into like 10 or 15 minutes, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to other than my work schedule. I work full-time outside of my YouTube hobby at the hospital. Well, hopefully I catch you next time, but remember to have a look for some Super Thrive. It's the best bit of advice I can give anyone. Thank you for the video. You're welcome. I will try to remember to look for it. Yes, I'll probably have to go on Amazon because I don't recall seeing it locally. But I will try the next time I'm browsing Amazon to remember to check for that. So here's my hole I've been digging while we're talking. And let's talk about this pipe before I put the... I know I'm going to do a fairy garden and do it, but I usually don't plan how the fairy gardens are going to turn out before I start doing it. I like the way you do your garden tour and you talk about the garden. Oh, thank you, Grandma Sandy. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm just, everything is kind of spur of the moment. But the pipe here, let's talk about this pipe. So first of all, where did the pipe come from? This pipe was from a construction site in the neighborhood. When I moved here 10 years ago, this house, I won't really give you a whole view of the neighborhood, but I'll just sort of explain it. This house was like the top of the subdivision. So we're on a hill, and then the rest of the subdivision was completely forest and undeveloped. And then the developers came and developed it after about a month of living here. And there was construction everywhere. And I used to scavenge the construction sites for all kinds of stuff for the garden. So this pipe was from a construction site. It was free. When you go to construction sites, you can take usually what you want. They have these big scrap piles. You just take what you want: boards, pipes, all kinds of stuff. And I decided to put it in the garden. I have a few of them, and I'll show you what I do with it. So this is how tall it is. It's about 3-4 feet tall-ish. And I don't actually have this sticking here all the time. This is literally just because I had nowhere to put it. But I fill it with water. In the heat of the summer, I will fill the pipe as far as I can with water. Like, if it goes up to the top, that's perfect. And the reason I do that is to deep water the plants. So it goes a good distance into the soil, like probably, I don't know, maybe half a foot or more into the soil. And I do that because I like to water that method because I feel like a deep watering is so much more effective than surface watering. I also use soaker hoses, which is way more effective than before when I just hand watered everything with a hose or sprinkler. Don't use sprinklers. Yeah, so I love the pipe method for watering. I only have a few of them in my garden. I wish I had more, but I don't. So that is one thing I do in the dead of summer. When it's really dry, I deep water. Like, I put the hose in, let it go, fill the pipe up, and then that is good for the plants surrounding the area for a good amount of time. So that is my strategy for deep watering certain areas of the garden. And I wanted to put the melons here because I feel like melons need a fair bit of water and I don't want them to dry out too much. So that's why I'm choosing this spot for the melons. I'll put one of them in here. These honeydews. So, and I think when I plant these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a surface water, but I'm also going to put some water in the pipe. That's what I'm thinking. So that I kind of have both going on, just to get them started. So we've got one pretty much planted. Now I have my other one to plant. I'm going to try to put it just a little further over. I'm kind of doing a square foot gardening approach to the garden this season without actually measuring anything. Do I get mosquitoes? Absolutely. Not right now because it's still pretty warm and it's only, what time is it? It's almost 6 o'clock, I think. 1700? Yeah, almost 6 o'clock. But yes, mosquitoes are super bad here. I've lived in the same city on Vancouver Island my whole life, different areas. This is the worst property I've ever lived on for mosquitoes. Really bad, and it's probably because there is a creek right down the street, like a 2-minute walk from this house. There is a creek, and I swear they breed there and they come in the garden and have a good time later on, which is probably why the snakes and lizards really like it here, because they have a lot of food to feast on. And the dragonflies. There are frequent flyers of dragonflies to this garden. I would say maybe probably more often even than the butterflies, the dragonflies come. But they come to feed on the mosquitoes. They don't just come for fun. So let's dig another hole. I guess I forgot to bring a shovel, but I didn't really need the shovel. The soil is soft enough that I can just use my hands to dig it out. And put this other guy in there. This one is slightly more root bound. Just break up the roots a little bit, stick it in, and again, no fertilizers on these guys. Sometimes I fertilize my garden, but I'm really cutting back this season. I think my soil overall is pretty good because I do amend it quite heavily in the fall with leaves and compost, manures, seaweed from the ocean. So I think overall the soil is not bad. So we're just going with no fertilizer right now. Now let's get to watering. Take this away for a minute. The 2 plants. Oh, I should take my pot with me. And the flower jungle is, oh boy, I'm stepping on things. So those are planted. Just a few more to plant. Let's get the hose. Do some hose watering through the pipe. Now the question is, which way should I go? Got all kinds of wire contraptions. It's literally like a maze, this garden. What are you going to not step on? So we'll just put some water down the pipe. It'll take a while to get this thing full. Tracy McCord, I love gardening. So do I. I have a plant addiction, actually. I have to say, it's healthier than other types of addictions, I guess. But I feel like it's hard to have too many plants most of the time. See if I can show you the pipe. Oh, you can't see the water yet, but we'll keep going. You can see the water rising on the stick. Do I have any bat houses? I put some up, but I haven't had any move in yet. I do not have any bat houses. You can see the water coming up now in the pipe. So that is good. And we're going to give just a little bit of water right beside to these little honeydews, just to get them watered from the top and the bottom. And the water does go down pretty fast, but it'll be in there for a while. Hi there, I just got here. Can you start from the start? Okay, I'll give you a little recap if that's what you're interested in. Here, let me just turn the camera around. My name is Lisa, and this is my garden on central Vancouver Island. I am in Canada. And today we are doing some vegetable and fruit planting, and my hair is a hot mess, and that is fine. We planted a bunch of tomatoes in containers. Flip the camera around. I took out some of my failures, put in some new stuff, and we have more to do. Those plants you see on my compost bin, we are planting, and I am so demolishing my garden as we speak. Not on purpose. Whoa, I just tripped. Okay, gotta be a little more careful when you have 2 hands full and you're looking at things. So what are we planting next? We have 4 tomatoes and a pumpkin, and we are going outside of the vegetable garden. I think we're doing something a little more adventurous. So let's take some of these guys with us. And we're going to another region of the garden to plant these. I should probably bring my tripod. That would probably be a smart idea. And this is the potato jungle I showed earlier. It is absolutely bonkers how tall these guys are. A little fairy garden for you, Grandma Sandy. You're probably gone, but this is Spirit Falls. I did a video about this a while ago. A little bee enjoying the flower at Spirit Falls, a dry creek riverbed. And let's grab the plants. And how can I do this? Carry a plant tray and a tripod and a phone. Off we go. I'll have to come back for the hose or the watering can. So we are going down to another region of the garden. We're doing some planting experiments right now. And I can't turn the camera around right now. I am completely full holding things. But we are doing just a little bit of experimentation in the garden. Now, should I do it? Let's do it. Let's be really adventurous. I did have a bunch of ideas here. Uh-oh, that just happened. So this here is what I like to call my gravel pathway garden. And I have a rock rose shrub, which I did no, it's not a shrub, it's a ground cover. How to propagate these video early in January or February. This is another one. That's what the flowers look like. I didn't propagate this one or divide it. I just left a little baby one here. And I had little tomatoes that are growing here. I have one there, but they're so tiny. And I also have a tiny baby one here. I don't know that these guys are going to make it. So I'm going to put a full-size tomato plant here. I've actually never grown tomatoes in the ground outside of my vegetable garden. So this is a full-on experiment. Let's see if I can get the tripod back and we'll do some planting. My knockout rose, very beautiful. And I think I need to, oh dear, is that broken? No, it's just bent, but I might need to make a bouquet pretty soon, it looks like. And the what do you call, effects of gardening are starting to occur. Put you on the tripod and turn the camera around. And then I'm going to have to lower you a little bit. And a little lower. I think that might be good for now. Now, do I need a shovel? That is the question. But you see here, oh, you can't see it. Let's get closer. These little greens are foxgloves. I have lots of them growing on the other side of my fence and they self-seed. So I'm actually going to pull them out. I know that's hard for a lot of people to pull out perfectly viable plants, but I don't really feel like transplanting them right now. So I will probably actually compost them if I'm being completely honest. I know that's sad, but I won't pull them all. There's about 10 of them here. I'll leave a few and they can grow with the tomato, but oh boy, I even have more tomatoes growing here, but I'm gonna leave them and just sort of put the full-size tomato in a spot by itself. We'll save the succulents, we can save those. And which one should we put here? The giant Belgian or bull's heart? I'm thinking the giant Belgian. Let's give that a try. Why not? So, I didn't bring a shovel. I wonder if I can just dig in here. You guys, maybe I'll turn the camera around. You can't see much when I'm digging. Just digging with my hands on a rock to plant this little tomato. Well, it's a bigger tomato than all these little tiny ones that I have growing here. Like the one by the fence. And we'll see how it does. This is a huge gardening experiment. But when I lived with my parents and I did gardening there years ago, my dad actually used to plant cucumbers and tomatoes in his ornamental garden. So I figure if he did it then, I can do it now. And they did really well, actually. So, uh-oh. Shoot. Did I just, no. Okay, we're good. I thought I broke the, did I break it? No, I didn't. Okay. Thought I broke the plant, but it's all good. It's all fine. We will cover it up and see how this guy grows. I do need to get the water though. We don't want to let it go dry. So maybe I will bring the hose over. That might be the thing to do. Probably the thing to do. I could do the watering can, but we'll do the hose. Creeping time. A little rose and some daisies. My nectarine tree, my dwarf. And this is a barberry bush. And no, it does not produce berries. It is ornamental. Where did the hose go? A little. Okay, off we go. Uh-oh. This is the joys of using a hose sometimes. Japanese maple. I grew this from a tiny seedling. Uh-oh. I hope you guys are still there. I literally just pressed a button and I don't see much anymore. I can hardly see the screen, let alone the chat. Let me see. Maybe it's the lighting. What just happened? Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're back. Got the hose here. We're gonna give these guys a little drink of water. Going pretty significantly. This area of my yard is like a hot desert, so I suspect the tomato will do well, but it's gonna need a lot of water in this area, so we want to give it a good start. That's probably enough for now. We have a few more plants to plant. We are headed to another region now, over this direction. And this is what I like to call my little cottage garden, and this is the first season I'm incorporating edible foods with my flowers. And I have some squash that I started from seed here, growing really well. There's a strawberry plant, and there is a baby tomato, but it's actually, I mean, it's alive, it's not thriving. I'll leave it for now, but we're going to incorporate a few more tomatoes into this little cottage jungle we've got going on. There's a beautiful poppy, very gorgeous Dusty Millers, Shasta daisies, a foxglove or 2 or 3, and we have another squash in the mix, and I'm going to put a tomato close to that little angel. I think that would be a lovely spot for a tomato plant. And we're going to put in bull's heart. I feel like angels and hearts go together, so let's do that. There is some yarrow down here, and this is all a jungle of oregano. It is going to be so beautiful when it blooms. If you're unfamiliar with oregano flowers, they are purple, which will be perfect with the chai flowers and the white and the pink here. I cannot wait to see it bloom, and lavender is also purple. So we're going to dig a little hole. This is kind of a mulchy area, but there is soil underneath. No landscape fabric in this zone. My rock garden is full of landscape fabric. So we're just going to dig in here and get this guy planted. The odd rock does come out in our soils. So, get him out. I feel like he might be root bound. A little bit root bound, yeah. Just break up the roots a little bit. But not too bad for moisture. I think the store did a pretty good job keeping this plant moist, which is good. So, just add a little more mulchy stuff here. I feel like I should take off this lower branch. That looks good. Now we gotta water it in. And I will cage these guys, but I don't think I'll do it on live stream. I will do it at another time. Grab the hose and bring it on over. Did I? Oh shoot, I did. This might not work out very well. I usually bring the hose around the other way. It's like way in my upper garden right now. I usually bring it around, I think we have to go the other way because it's not going to stretch this far in this direction. Oops. And there's a kink too, so we'll get rid of that. Here's a little dianthus plant that has started to bloom. They're very pretty, also called carnations. And Nigella Love in a Mist is going crazy. It's so pretty. So many white flowers this season. Usually they're blue. Only a few blue ones. Kind of interesting. Oh, somebody asked to see bees. Let me show you a few bees. This is my raspberry patch that I never planted. Self-seeded from the neighbors. There are some bees here. They're getting a little less active now that it's evening time, but they're still here. They're quick in this zone. Doing some pollination work. And let's go water the tomato. There we go. This guy a good drink of water. Thank you, Crystal. Thanks for stopping in. You have a good evening too, or good night. And I think that'll probably be enough water for now. And we've got 3 plants left to plant. And we're going on another little field trip in the garden. We're going to another zone of the garden to plant these. This is quite an experiment we're getting into here, but let's do it. Gardening is all about, I feel like, doing science experiments like all the time. That's kind of what gardening is. It's the art of planting, creating, and growing. And it really is an art, especially when you get into colors and textures of the different flowers and plants. There's some stuff growing in my gravel, my daylilies. Going through the garden gate, and I didn't bring a tripod this time. We're gonna work with what we've got. When I film in nature, I usually don't actually bring my tripod. I use rocks and roots and trees for my tripod. So this is actually somewhere where I put tiny little tomato seedlings. They're not doing spectacularly. It was a fairy garden, and we're gonna leave the mushrooms. We had it in spring, and then I dismantled it because it's summer now, so time to move on. This is oregano. Oregano that's self-seeded. and we're putting a tomato in here. Now this is a fairly shaded spot. I could move the pot, but for now it's going to stay. It seems like a good spot for it, and I'm just curious how well the tomato will do in part shade to full shade actually. So that's part of the experiment here, is how well will a tomato do that is not in full sun. My garden for the most part is full sun. This is one of the few shaded spots. So we will see how it's going to do here. It might not do well, but then I'll know for sure. And if it does do well, then I'll know that sometimes you can plant things in shade that you wouldn't think you can. So that is what we're experimenting with today. And we're just gonna go a little deeper. And which one should we put here? Let's put the King of Siberia in a colder location. I think that sounds like a good idea. A little bit root bound here. And I'm gonna take off this branch. Maybe I don't need to, but I just feel like it should come off. So there we go. I do like to sometimes keep the tags, so we'll put that in and give this guy a drink of water. And we have 2 plants left to put into the ground or containers. Let's get the hose here. Show you some plants. This is my spirea bush, just starting to bloom. And a spoiler alert at my very secret, but not secret anymore, one of my pumpkin patches in my rock garden is doing really well here. These have been in the ground for quite some time, grown from seed. And lots of flowers. And the crazy daisies, Shasta daisies. Some more Nigella, Love in a Mist. And we'll get the hose. This is where the bees usually hang out, but I'd say most of them have gone to sleep for the night. There's still a few hanging around, but most of them are getting a little tired by this hour and they need their rest. So let's get the hose and give that tomato a little drink. There's a few more pumpkins here. This is another pumpkin patch. And some fairy things. A foxglove. Uh-oh dear. I didn't make the hose long enough. Okay, here we are. Back at the pot. Give this guy a drink of water. Uh-oh, just a second. Doesn't want to go on. There we go. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to try a little experiment. Some people call this chop and drop. I'm just going to put some oregano as a mulch. Because why not? Whoops, we pulled out the whole plant. That's okay. I think I won't do the whole thing on live stream, but I'm going to fill the bottom of the pot with oregano as kind of a mulch and see how that does for the tomato. And we have pumpkin Big Macs and one more tomato to plant. Let's see where those are going to go. Now, I'm not sure about the pumpkin Big Macs. I do have I have basically 3 pumpkin patches in the front garden. And I was going to put this in the other patch, but I'm thinking maybe I should put it here instead. Pumpkin Big Macs, because these ones are doing pretty well here. So let's see how this is if I dig into the soil. to go pretty deep. There are patches of landscape fabric here. Most of it's removed in this section or never present, but I think this area is okay. So this is where Pumpkin Big Max is gonna live. Part shade, we'll see how it does. And a little peek at my fairy garden on the boulevard. I'm sure Grandma Sandy is gone, but she would appreciate this if she ever comes back. Some mermaids. And some haunted pieces. Do I have thoughts on nematodes? I love ladybugs, but I don't actually buy them myself. If they come to the garden, then that is super awesome, but I don't necessarily go out and buy them because usually they find the garden when they need to be here. Some of my little haunted creatures have gone floral for the season, and my $20,000 masterpiece right here. Now let's get back to pumpkins. There's another little house here, some bats, and a secret pyramid. Now, Pumpkin Big Macs. Right here, we are putting this guy. I think ladybugs are super useful for pests, but usually they find gardens on their own for the most part. And when there's a problem, they know what to do. I recently filmed, I don't know if you saw it on my channel, a little shorts of the ladybugs I found mating in my apple tree, I believe. One year I found them in my plum tree doing similar things, and they seem to just find what needs to be done, and then they replicate in the given location. So we'll put in the little tag and give this guy a drink of water. And a nice drink. And then we just have one tomato left to plant here. Now the question is, where should we put this tomato? I could put it in shade close to the pumpkin, or I could put it somewhere else. The good thing about this area is that it typically gets more water than some of my other areas of the garden. So that does make me think it might be a good idea to put it here. There's no irrigation in my front yard garden, so no pipes, no soaker hoses, no any of that stuff. I like to have it in a watering accessible area. Possibly here. Let's see how the soil is to work. I don't mind planting things close together. If I can dig deep enough, we might put it here. You can see the soil underneath is a different color, less fertile than what's near the surface. And the wind is starting to pick up again. June is very windy on Vancouver Island, pretty typically. And we've got this Mimi Boost tomato. We'll put that in here. And give it a drink of water. I think that is good. Thank you for joining me on my little planting live stream. I'm going to do a little tidy up and then probably some video editing. Work on that forest bathing video I started this morning. So we will see you soon in another video. I hope you're getting out into your gardens, get some fresh air. It is so good for you, vitamin D from the sun. Bye-bye.